Assalamu alaikum, brothers, and welcome back to the Household Anchor. In a modern world filled with chaos, weak leadership, and confusing relationship dynamics, men need an anchor. This channel is dedicated to the revival of traditional Islamic manhood. We are here to break down real-world family, marriage, and life dynamics using the timeless, unshakable teachings of the Quran and the authentic Sunnah. For today's episode, we are looking at a massive victory sent in by a brother who was losing control of his own home, not to his wife, but to her family. Let's read his story. Assalamu alaikum. I am writing this to share a victory, hoping it helps brothers who are suffocating in their own homes. For the first 5 years of my marriage, I was a ghost in my own house. We have 2 children, but my household was entirely run by my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law. They visited unannounced, rearranged my furniture, dictated how my kids should be disciplined, and constantly made passive-aggressive comments about my salary. Whenever I tried to speak to my wife about it, she would explode. She told me I was trying to isolate her, that I was arrogant, and that I was disrespecting her family. To keep the peace, I stayed quiet. The breaking point happened 2 months ago. I had chosen an Islamic school for my son, paid the registration, and felt good about it. I came home to find out my mother-in-law had convinced my wife to pull him out and enroll him in a different, secular private school closer to her house without even calling me. Something inside me snapped, but I didn't yell. The next morning, I took the day off work. I drove straight to my father-in-law's house and sat with him man to man. I looked him in the eye and said, "I respect you, but I am the leader of my family. The daily interference stops today. My doors are always open for you for family visits, but my household is my jurisdiction, not your wife's." Then I went home. I told my wife the new school was canceled, the old one was reinstated, and her family's access to our daily decisions was permanently cut off. She lost her mind. She screamed, cried, and threatened to pack her bags and take the kids. In the past, I would have begged her to calm down. This time, I walked to the closet, pulled out her suitcase, set it on the bed, and calmly said, "If you choose to destroy our family, over my right to lead my own house, I will not stop you. But the kids stay here." She froze. She didn't pack a single thing. I left the room and went to the mosque. Brothers, the silent treatment lasted a week. But I didn't break. I stayed completely calm and continued to provide. Fast forward to today. The outside noise is gone. My father-in-law clearly had a word with his wife. But more importantly, my wife's entire demeanor has changed. She respects me now. She actually asks for my input. I finally feel like the man of the house. Brothers, and specifically to the brother who sent this in. Before we dive into the breakdown, let me make one thing absolutely clear. We are going to analyze every single place where you went wrong in the beginning. But we do not point out mistakes to mock or belittle anyone. We do this to teach, to learn, and to wake up other brothers who are currently making the exact same mistakes in their own homes. And to your immense credit, brother, we are also going to highlight exactly where you executed a flawless comeback. Let us look at the first 5 years. Brother, you wrote that you were a ghost in your own house. Your first major mistake was confusing artificial peace with righteous leadership. We are commanded by Allah to maintain the ties of kinship. You must treat your in-laws with the utmost respect and kindness. But respect does not mean surrender. When you signed the marriage contract, a new, sovereign household was created. You are the shepherd of that specific flock. But when your mother-in-law and sister-in-law rearranged your furniture, you stayed quiet. When they dictated how your kids should be disciplined, you stayed quiet. When they sat in your living room and made passive-aggressive comments about your salary, your provision, you stayed quiet. Brother, you allowed the protective walls of your home to collapse because you were afraid of your wife exploding. By staying quiet to avoid an argument, you actually taught your wife and her family that your authority was an illusion. You taught them that your word carried no weight. The wife in this scenario was using the noble concept of family loyalty as a weapon to bypass your authority. And for 5 years, you enabled it. Here is the hard truth that every man must internalize. A woman cannot respect a man who cannot even defend his own borders. You showed weakness. Women don't respect weak men, and they don't love a man they don't respect. Guys, you need to understand something. By allowing this kind of behavior, she perceived you as weak. And once a woman perceives you as weak, it is incredibly difficult to change her perception. But this is where your story shifts from a tragedy to an absolute victory. Because when they crossed the ultimate line with your son's schooling, you woke up. And I want to appreciate every single move you made from that moment forward. First, you didn't yell. When something inside you snapped, a weak man would have screamed at his wife out of pure emotional reaction. You held your composure. Second, you executed the highest level of masculine respect. You didn't argue with your mother-in-law or sister-in-law. You took the day off, drove to your father-in-law's house, and spoke to the patriarch man to man. Brother, that was a masterclass. You looked him in the eye, affirmed your respect for him, but firmly established your jurisdiction. Third, you went home and set the boundary without negotiation. You didn't ask your wife for permission to reinstate the school. You stated the reality of how the house would operate. And then came the ultimate test. She screamed, cried, and threatened to pack her bags. In the past, you admitted you would have begged her to calm down, but this time, you pulled her suitcase out for her. Brother, I commend you. That single action communicated a profound psychological reality. I love you, and I provide for you. But I do not need you more than I need my self-respect and the proper Islamic order of my home. The moment a woman realizes that her emotional manipulation will not move you, the facade breaks. She realizes she is dealing with a mountain, not a leaf in the wind. And mountains command respect. If any of you watching are dealing with toxic interference, look at the blueprint this brother just gave us. Go to the source with dignity. Set the boundary without negotiation. And withstand the emotional siege. When she gave you the silent treatment for a week, brother, you did not break. You went to the mosque. You maintained your composure. You continued to provide. You proved that your leadership was not based on sudden anger, but on unshakable, permanent principle. You didn't just win an argument, you won back your wife. Because now, she actually asks for your input. She respects you. You earned your title as the man of the house. Protecting your family means protecting them from toxic external influence just as much as physical danger. Be respectful to your elders, always. but be the absolute king of your own castle. But the story doesn't end here. Remember that she will test you, again, and again, and again, until the end. You must never give in. Never go back to your old ways. Women test men all the time. You have to stay strong. Stay resolute. Keep being that unshakable mountain. Remember, the moment you show weakness, it's game over. Things will go back to the way they were. Be strong, and never let that happen. Brothers, if this message resonated with you, hit the subscribe button, like the video, and help us build this community. This channel is built for you. And to keep it completely relatable, I want to cover your real-world scenarios. If you are dealing with a difficult situation and need a no-nonsense analysis rooted in the timeless teachings of our faith, send your stories, situations, or articles to thehouseholdanchor@gmail.com. Every submission will be kept strictly anonymous to protect your privacy. Let me know your thoughts on today's case study in the comments below. Until next time, stay strong, stay accountable, and be the anchor of your household. Assalamu alaikum.